Hey everyone. The purpose of this video is to start hopefully a conversation where I can get to know most of you or all of you over the next few months. And so to start that off, I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself. Um, my name is Dr. Stephen Chrisomalis. You're welcome to call me Dr. Chrisomalis. That's a bit of a mouthful, but the way I tell people to remember it is that it rhymes with gristle malice, which is two things. First of all, that's when you put my name into voice transcription software, that's usually what comes out. And secondly, I've always had a dream of having a death metal band and gristle malice. I think it works. Um, if the professor gig doesn't work out, I'll let you know. Anyway, Chrisomalis is how to pronounce my name. I am, and you have the fortune of being taught by Wayne State University's worst linguistic anthropologist. Fortunately for you, I'm also the best linguistic anthropologist at Wayne because I'm the only one. I've been here since 2008 and I love it. I love this place. I love being here. I love getting to interact with you guys. I am a full time faculty member, a professor with tenure. What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm immune to being fired? Does that mean I don't have to wear pants when I come to class? Um, no, it doesn't mean any of those things. What it means is I am a member of a increasingly limited class of professors who have protection against being fired or being laid off, except for cause. That's all it means. It doesn't mean I'm a better instructor than those who don't have it. And it doesn't mean anything. But I do think it's worth thinking about the way that this works because it's very easy to be ignorant of or to forget or to consciously ignore the fact that there are a lot of folks out there who are amazing teachers who teach college classes who aren't members of the tenured faculty. They may be graduate students or they may have a PhD, but they teach on short term contract. These are sometimes called adjunct instructors. Or they might have a title like a lecturer or visiting assistant professor or something like that. Well, look, why am I telling you all this? I think it's important to understand because there are massive inequities in pay and prestige that are really easy to be invisible to students. And in fact, I think sometimes the full time faculty like to make them invisible. There are people who make $200,000 a year or more as professors at Wayne State, and there are people who make $2,000 for teaching a single course. And actually don't think it has any bearing on the quality of instruction you're going to get. Anyway, enough about all that. More about me. Um, Let me tell you a little bit about my research. I study the anthropology of numbers and mathematics. Um, and what that means is I study a subject that actually horrifies some anthropologists and some anthropology students and all kinds of other people who might have math phobia or something like that. I know some of you may have come to anthropology to avoid taking more math. Now, have no fear. This isn't a math class. I'm not here to test you on math or to test your math knowledge. I write books and articles, and we may end up reading one of those later in the semester. In fact, I think we will. But really, as an anthropologist, what I do is study numbers and mathematics as linguistic and as cultural phenomena. In other words, as learned and shared parts of the human experience. And I think that's a useful lens to think about this thing, mathematics, that we think of as very abstract and very universal. And there is that aspect to it, but there's also the question of, well, why do we have the mathematics that we have and not something else? I think those are really, really key questions, and they're ones that I'm constantly hoping to inspire students to ask, even those of you who may never want to see the inside of a math classroom ever again. I do field work here in Detroit with a program called the Math Corps, which is here at Wayne State, that serves middle and high school students from Detroit and from outlying areas. And I've been doing that since I got here, 2008, 2009. And we might have a chance to talk about that part of my research as well throughout this course. What else do you want to know? I'm Canadian. Right now, I am recording this video from my home in South Detroit, also known as Maple Detroit, also known as Windsor. Normally, on any normal year, I commute. Of course, I'm not commuting regularly right now, but so I'm over here in Canada and I'll be over here throughout the semester with a few exceptions when I come across for necessary meetings and that sort of thing. And yeah, so being Canadian is part of my experience, and I know that being here in Detroit, we're really only a couple of miles from Canada, and so I think it's kind of important to understand the relationship between the Detroit area and Canada. So at some point, I'll probably give a lecture or a little discussion on Canadian English. I'll probably deliver that in Canadian English, and I'll tell you more about that later. What else? I'm a giant nerd. I'm not ashamed of that. Old school tabletop role playing games. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for almost 40 years now. That's a long time. I read a lot of science fiction, all of the other stuff that goes along with that. You could pretty much predict what I do for fun from that. Right now, I'm trying to get over a 1800 plus hour addiction to Civilization 6. With your help, I can do it. I believe in me and I believe in you. Thanks. Um, what else? My musical tastes are super eclectic. I listen to just about anything. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of 80s and 90s progressive metal and power metal and stuff some of which I listened to when I was, young, and some of which I didn't listen to at all. And it's just, trying to expose myself to different things. But I think that all goes along with sort of intellectual curiosity and trying to always learn about new stuff. But if you have any good recommendations, I'd be happy to hear them. Just anything. If any of you are in a band, shoot me a link if you have Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever. I would just love to listen to new things, and that's how we're all going to learn more. Well, look, that's about all. I could go on for hours. I don't feel any need to do that. But I just wanted to get a chance to introduce myself because I think it's important to know that all of your professors are human beings, and we can do a lot more together if we come with that understanding rather than some understanding of radical difference between me and you. We occupy different roles. I'm not going to be the kind of guy who sits here and pretends that there's not a power differential or that it doesn't matter that I'm a professor. Anyone I think who does that, you should be very wary of. Who's like, oh, I'm not your professor, I'm just your buddy. I'm not here to be your buddy, but I'm a human being, and as such, I just want to get a chance to talk a little bit about myself. Might be my favorite topic, but you'll hear more about that, I'm sure, as the course progresses. Thanks a lot, everyone.